Okay, so where to begin with the creation of this video? This was a difficult video to do. I tried many times to create a clean run while talking at the same time, and it was proving far too difficult. But I sort of gave up, if you will. Well, not really. I decided basically to record a run and say nothing and then do the commentary after, which is what I'm doing now. And the reason being, I wanted to present the circuit in the best way possible because it's a great piece of content and you can get it for free. And I wanted to present it in the best way possible. So I decided to do it this way. My driving sucks at the best of times, so here we are. So as you'll see from the thumbnail and description, I'm on the 37 3/4 mile Isle of Man mountain course, and this is available to download for free from the Steam Workshop for rFactor 2. You just need to have a copy of the game. And this circuit was created by a guy called Jim Pearson from 2005, over 14 years, and it was released for Grand Prix Legends last year, 2019. And Jim gave permission to a couple of guys to convert it with permission for rFactor 2, and I think Jim was involved in the supervising the conversion process as well. There's a description in detail on the Steam Workshop and a forum post on the Studio 397 forums, which I'll link to below in the video description. And I'll include links to all the content from the workshop below in the video description. So I'm in the BMW 320 GTO, which is a Group 5 car from 1977, and I'm driving it manual, or trying to. And a funny thing, I usually drive sequential with the paddles when I'm sim racing, and the car we have here in the real world is also sequential. It has paddles, I don't use them. It's a dual clutch automatic. They're quite popular now, and so manual is not something I do on a regular basis. And of course, with the gated shifter that I have from Thrustmaster, you need a very particular style, a technique of driving to do it in an elegant way, shall I say. So it takes a lot of practice, but it's been fun, and I like to drive the circuit, and that's the reason why I do it, and one of the reasons why I wanted to. This is not a review, it's more of a presentation of the circuit. So the car is originally a 5-speed. I think people have been driving it sequential as a converted car for hill climbing, and in the tuning menu in rFactor 2 you can either drive it manual or semi-sequential. Some really tight turns here, and without a track map you have to drive the circuit and just try and learn the twists and turns and try and anticipate each corner. And I'm driving here at 5 in the morning. Why, don't ask me, I just decided to do it this way. So I'm driving it and using the manual option. There are 3 tire types: hard, slick, hard and soft, and then I think it's rain. And I'm driving basically hard with the tire wear is on, so as fuel use is also on, but I have the invulnerability turned on, so damage is turned off, because there's no way I would do this in one run. And there's the Porsche 962 passing me, so we'll get on to that. So basically, along with the BMW 320 Turbo GTO, we have the Audi 90 GTO, the Toyota Celica GTO, the Mac Core mod, which includes the 91 Mazda 787B, Porsche 962C, and the Sauber C11. And one of the Saubers has the livery for Michael Schumacher, because Michael Schumacher started out here pretty much until he started Formula 1 with Eddie Jordan, of course. And then finally the Peugeot Sport 207 S2000. So an S2000 rally car, and actually that has a tarmac and gravel option when you select it in the game. And all this content is available for free. You can download it from the workshop. I'll include links to everything below, like I said. And I wanted to, there's my first spin out. So I speed this up because you don't want to see me doing a 35-point turn. But I decided sometimes I would spin out and I'd say, oh heck, I'll just start it again. But I decided, let's go. Let's continue. Now there are two versions of the circuit. There's the regular one and then there's this mist version. And you can see here the mist, it kind of looks like sort of picking up coins in Mario Kart. I think what they've done is they've made a kind of a static image to represent the mist. And then in certain conditions you can kind of see the outline of it. So I guess it's just a static PNG. I don't know about creating tracks. There's another minor wreck. So I don't know, I mean, I'm not one to comment, but it looks to me like a static image. And sometimes there are some birds going across or some planes to create a bit of atmosphere. And I guess there are just static images moving across the circuit at certain times. And I decided to drive the circuit at 5 in the morning. And what I was doing actually, now those who follow the channel will see I've done a dedicated tutorial on how to set up a dedicated server in rFactor 2. And I find myself, when I would play the game, rather than set up single player, I would just start a server and go that way, which is what I've been doing. And I realized after, you know, if you play rFactor 2, there's this series menu, which back in the day, shall we say, around the time Studio 397 took over rFactor 2 from ISI, there was this series menu which is still there with this kind of single player content, car and track combinations that you would go through, and that content's now gone. That menu is now empty. And what I've realized over time is that if you create a package for a server and then you join that server in the game. Now here I had a battle with the Peugeot S2000. I passed him, he passed me. This was an interesting thing. You'll see. I try and catch him, and then I spin out and he passes me again. Anyway, when you join a server, the content for the server gets installed to your copy of the game, and that then gets added to the series menu. And then I realized over time that the same components I showed in the server tutorial, the mask tool, the mod manager tool, those tools that you use to create content for a server can also be used to create single player content. Now this may have been obvious to many, but it was never obvious to me. So basically what I'm doing in this case is I'm running a single player race using the same content I would have run if I was running a server. Now the server has been running fine. Now somebody said in some of the comments, I think on Race Department, or was it the comments on one of my videos, a comment on a video or community post, I don't remember, but somebody was saying that they were having some frame rate issues with this circuit. And actually it's been running fine for me. I haven't noticed any issues, but when I was trying to record this session there was some lag going on. I don't know whether it was my PC or the internet connection, but it was lagging. So in this case I'm running it single player, but up until then I had been running it exclusively as a dedicated server and it was running fine. Sometimes people would join for a second or two, and actually there's another car, there's a Lola T280 which is interesting, and in the promo shots on the Steam Workshop for this Isle of Man circuit there's a cool looking Can-Am car, and I asked what it was and I was told it was a Lola T280. So I downloaded that as well. It's not in the workshop, it's on Race Department. I'll include a link for that as well. And I ran that here. That was really fun. And then I decided to run it as a server on the Nordschleife. There's a jump here, so you come through this village and you turn a little bit left. There's a crest and then there's a jump, and if you're not careful you'll hit the house on the left hand side. So I ran the Lola T280 on the Nordschleife in the darkness, 4 or 5 AM, and somebody joined the server. Shout out to Fu Manchu, whoever you are if you're watching. That was really fun, actually. That was cool. So I would like to do that again, because the T280 had either slicks or it had rain tires, and with tire wear on, trying to do the Nordschleife, the 24-hour layout of the Nordschleife on slicks was difficult, because the tires were flat spotting, of course. And here you can see this is the Sauber. The Sauber passes us, and then I try and catch the S2000. I think I pass him here, and then of course he gets me again. You can see that the lights are on, and then the sun is kind of coming up, which is a nice effect. And now this track isn't perfect. Of course, it's a work in progress. It's still being updated. There's a hard right here, and I kept hitting Mr. PNG there on the left. I would miss that turn, and then it sweeps around to the left here. And then from this part on, then you start to climb. So I was at a point where I knew the first half of the circuit in a way in my head, but not the latter half. And then there are some areas where the track will receive the version 1.2 update, because in the latter part of the circuit, in some of the areas it's not so clear where to go. There's a very, very sharp right hand turn where I think they added a barrier, because there was an open area with a roundabout, and I would come down, I would go straight through, and then I would literally get stuck when I was supposed to take a right. So I guess they're modifying it over time, because like I said, in the latter half of the circuit, some of the areas it's not so clear where you should actually be going. It gets very twisty here. I hit the wall again, but I continue. This was quite difficult to do, and I know the circuit to a degree, but when it's dark, and when there's this mist image on the screen, it's hard to see where you're going. Now, of course, this was my own choice. I could have driven it in the daytime, of course, in sunny conditions, but this is the decision I made. And sometimes you'll see a mountain in the background or something, or a hill, and it just looks like a 2D image naturally. But of course, it's been updated over time. Like any of these things, this is a work in progress. But still, it's amazing. You can download this for free and run it, and this would be really cool to have some classic cars, maybe with a group of friends on a server. And while I was driving this, I was thinking it's one thing to master, let's say, Le Mans. Now this is one of the tight turns here. You have to take a sharp right and you go through a village. It's one thing to master Le Mans, and another thing, let's say, to master the Nordschleife, but it's a completely different ball game to master this one. It's like at least 3 times the length of the Nordschleife. It's very twisty, very windy, but I enjoy it. It is a challenge. It really is a challenge, and to do a clean lap in this and set a time to beat, that will be an achievement. That's for sure. I'm in the latter half of it now. Now that turn there, I hit that bank several times, and I've had to learn to recognize that turn from the sign, and then I brake, and it is a very, very hard left. Then it starts to climb. It's more like a rally stage, I suppose. I shouldn't really have been driving maybe the S2000, but I wanted to do the BMW, and funnily enough, as I mentioned, this has been used it's been converted now as a hill climb car, funnily enough. And I only realised that because somebody was noting in the comments on the workshop about the quality of the sound, and then I looked for some onboard footage. There's the car AI car getting wrecked behind. I was looking for some onboard footage of the actual audio to compare. I didn't find a good example as such, but what I did see was a hill climb version of this with sequential. So it is being used, I guess, to this day as a hill climb car. Now there's another S2000, and then one of the previous recordings there was either the Celica or the Audi 90 Quattro coming behind me, and it was almost almost like a gunshot sound. I should have kept that, but basically I'm running all these cars. All these are AI, by the way, of course, because this is not a server, and of course, depending on where you start in the session, and it's randomized, you won't see every car, of course. So sometimes I'll see the Audi, and sometimes I won't. In most cases here, it was either the 962 or the Sauber or mostly the S2000. Now this would be fun, of course, to try in the other cars, and of course that I can do. And these, I think the MacCore cars, the Group C mod, they're all, I think they're manual as well, but you can drive those as sequential if you want to. Which might actually be an easier way of learning the circuit, or even put it on auto. And of course, actually, many will know I use the voice controls, and at one point I hit one of those very, very tight turns, and I think I said, "Oh shit," and the voice controls thought I was asking for auto shift, so auto shifting came on, and that was cool. Sometimes the voice controls will activate a command for no apparent reason. Weird. So I tend to kind of use very specific words for, like, so if I want to request a pit, I'll say like box, and so because sometimes if I'm driving, one of the family will come in, and in the background they might say something, and then one of the commands might be triggered, like auto clutch, auto shift, auto pit, these kind of things. But it's funny. It's like everything, it's a work in progress. But I do find the voice controls are handy. Like I said before, I try and keep them consistent across games. So I use box, mirror, ignition, start, these kind of things. So now I'm in the latter half. So you climb and then you kind of start to come down. Now, interestingly enough, actually, I'm using I've moved over to the new UI for rFactor 2, and in the current or old UI, when you run the loading screen, you get a presentation of the map, which I'll show on the screen. And in the new UI, they've simplified it, so basically what you get is you get an image of the circuit converted as a loading screen, so you don't get those assets anymore. That's something they've decided to do. So you don't, and there's no track map option. So there is in the new UI, if you look at the race monitor options, there's an event info tab, which includes a circuit, which is nice, and you can see where everybody is on the circuit. But there's no track map, so you don't know where you are. Of course, I mean, even if there wasn't a track map, it would be nice even to have some kind of overlay, so at least you might know where you are, or have some way of anticipating what's coming next, which would be useful for those learning a circuit, of course, and those who maybe you're not so sure of themselves, because this is fast and tight, and of course in the dark it's even worse. Now I get these kind of blinding reflections on the screen. Now, I don't know if this circuit is using these PBR shaders and so on. Like I said, I know nothing about creating these circuits, and my utmost admiration for those who do, and do it for free. This is a labor of love for those people that do it, and it's for the community. And that's why I'm doing it. This is for the community. Why I do the tutorials and stuff that I do. I want to help out people if I can, and if anybody has any issues with and puts a question on any of my videos, I'll try to answer them as best I can. And I think from what I can see, the tutorial I did for the dedicated server, it has helped a few people get started, which I'm delighted with, because if you have a copy of the game, You can start a server, get a few mates together and have some fun. That's what it's all about. And you have your own leagues and so on, or whatever you want to do. Or just hot lap. I was running this in an extended practice session, and just having some fun. Just there I go. I crashed out again, and I just sped it up because I don't want to see it. 35-point turn. Now I could have cut it out, I suppose, would have been cleaner, but I just said, what the hell, leave it as it is. There's the latter half of it. Actually, I realized I turned my head to have a look at the Group C car passing. This is it, this section here. That barrier there on the left, I got whacked. That barrier there on the left, that was added in the update, I think, because I would tend to go straight on there, and when you go straight on there, basically you get stuck. You effectively go out of the circuit. You can't get back, and there's some very, very tight turns up here. You're now coming towards the town where the pits are. Basically, I don't know what it's called. There should be a sign here as well. It's very, very tight towards the right. Then there's another tight left all the way around. So, excuse my rambling here. I wanted to create an interesting video about this car and track combination and running servers and so on. And if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe as well for more content.
Hate YouTubers, that's my pro tip.
And share the video as well if you know somebody who might find it interesting. And as well, hit that notification bell thingy to be notified of more content. And any comments or questions, please, below in the comments, and I will try and answer and reply to each and every comment and our question. So until next time, thank you.